Okay, Chris Marshall-Bell, where are we?
We are in Oudenaarde and there's 155 kilometres left of the men's race and they're about to come past us right now. And UAE Team Emirates are on the front.
Drilling it. Tadej Pogačar, sixth wheel already.
Sixth wheel, and there's 3 minutes to the breakaway. And if we look just 400 metres away from us, what else is happening?
The women are about to start as well. We can see the team buses. We can see them getting ready. We've just spoken to the Cecily Uttrup Ludwig fan club. Very excited.
Which you will hear in a second, of course.
Of course.
And you will also hear about a Jasper Stuyven marzipan.
Very delicious.
Very delicious.
We assume.
We do assume.
A little gruppetto is still coming through. And Wout van Aert is in that gruppetto.
Wout van Aert is in the gruppetto at the back. Now what will happen
he must have
that?
had a stop for something. In quite a big group though, I'm sure he will have no problems getting
And he's
back
only a minute behind the Tadej Pogačar lead peloton. So we will find out what happens. We'll be right back after we've got some frites or quamots and maybe
a Belgian flag.
A Belgian flag, not a Flanders flag.
Oh, of course.
Flanders flag, of course. Okay,
bye.
Bye. Okay, it's the day after the Tour of Flanders and we are in our Airbnb in Ghent. My name is Chris Marshall-Bell and I'm here with Rachel Jary. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Feeling a bit tired after a long day yesterday, but happy with it. And it was 2 good races, I'd say.
Absolutely, it was. So we are at the Classics for 10 days and we are going to be bringing you 3 lots of Rouleur at the Classics podcasts. This one is the untold stories of the Ronde, and we're going to talk a little bit about the pre-race and then obviously get into what unfolded in both the men's and women's races. So Richard, we actually got to Ghent on Friday, and we say Ghent, so the men's race started in Bruges and both races ended in Oudenaarde, but Ghent is a central point of where a lot of people are. There's thousands of fans from all over the world and obviously people riding the Sportif on Saturday. Who did we bump into on Friday as we were trying to find our Airbnb?
I think saying we bumped into them is a bit of a stretch, Chris. We kind of saw them from across the road and then started freaking out. But yeah, we saw
starstruck.
We saw Kelland O'Brien from Liv Alina Jaco, who was sitting there looking so chill and cool in his bright purple map kit, which we really liked.
Great kit.
And he was just having a coffee. Then we also saw Oya Lazcano from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, who
great interviewee, I must say.
He was also having a coffee in the coffee shop beneath our Airbnb, which is a really nice coffee shop, actually. So, yeah, if you come to Ghent, you don't know who you're going to bump into on the Tour of Flanders weekend. You really don't.
Starstruck. But what was, great to see both riders and a few other riders milling around Ghent, but none of them were reading copies of The Standard, which is one of Belgium's biggest newspapers. And the reason I mention that is on Saturday morning, their front cover was plastered with Lotte Kopecky and the words, "Copy forever." Kopecky forever, I should rather say, which was cool. I mean, this is Belgium. It's so fanatical, isn't it? You just don't see this in most other countries.
But it's good to see that they're backing their home favourite, despite her being a woman, because sometimes Belgium can be a little bit slower with getting on board with the women's race. So it was actually so cool to see that they're putting Kopecky on the front page of a national newspaper. Love to see that.
Indeed. And what also was cool, on Friday night, we went out for a glass of wine. Just one, I may add. And inside the wine bar, there was a wine board which had been scribbled out, and in its place was a chalkboard of the Cobbled Classics calendar, which again, you just don't see in any other country. You see football fixtures on chalkboards, but never cycling races. So yeah, Belgium is extremely unique.
So as we walked around the men's team buses at the start in sunny Bruges, we saw a few things that we didn't quite expect. Chris, can you talk a little bit about what you saw?
I will, but I'm actually just going to let this audio clip play it because I think it explains it best. Can you say your name, please?
My name is Alan.
Okay, Alan.
Yes.
Okay, so we are here at the start of the Ronde,
yes,
the men's race, and you have made a marzipan Jasper Stuyven. Can you explain what it is and why you came up with this idea, please?
That's because my brother-in-law, it's his... how say that?
My sister is the girlfriend of Jasper.
Okay.
The sister is the girlfriend from Jasper, and because we give it because we know Jasper gonna win the Ronde van Vlaanderen. He gonna win it.
Is Mats Pedersen not going to win it? His teammate?
No. He gonna win. It's gonna be a tactics play.
Okay.
And Pedersen is gonna go, but Jasper gonna follow and up the first over the line.
Wow, so he's going to have two monuments after Sanremo. Wow.
Yes.
So did you make this marzipan cake?
No, it's come from Anthony Lams. Anthony Lams is the Mr. Marzipan from Bredene. You have Ostend, it's a community next door, Bredene, and he made it special for him.
Did you give him instructions of what to make? Did you say the cobbles, the glasses, or what?
A photograph from Jasper, and he made it all the same.
He's absolutely fantastic. And does Jasper know that you have got him this?
Yes, because he has said to his sister, we have it.
Brilliant.
And is he going to eat it?
Is he going to eat it?
I don't know. You can eat it. You can put it in the box for 6 months. Not in the fridge, just at the room. And you can stay it at the box 6 months, and it's always good.
So on October the 6th, he will be eating the last part of his face.
He's gonna pull his head off. That's the arms.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much.
That was quite an unexpected treat, wasn't it?
It really was. I did not expect to see that on Sunday morning.
And Chris, did Jasper get presented with that marzipan figurine?
He did, but I can't really say he was too impressed, to be honest. Now, Jasper Stuyven actually comes from a family of chocolatiers, from people in the confectionery industry.
He's seen it all before.
He just didn't really care about that. And, we might be kind of silly billies out here, but he's got his game mode on. He's got his game face on.
I think at least we were there to show the excitement for the poor guy who spent hours making it, right? We were so excited. We actually then subsequently told every single person we spoke to yesterday about what we've seen.
I mean, I will never look at marzipan in the same way again.
Me neither. Not now I've seen what can be done with it. It's mind-blowing.
And I must add, though, that Jasper Stuyven was right to have his game face on because, alas, he did not win the race, but he did finish 5th. But we'll get onto that later on.
A very good ride. Now, Stuyven wasn't the only one being presented with food because in Flanders, there's 2 key things that you have to do when you come to watch the bike race. Okay, Chris, what have you got in your hand right now?
I've got my hand, Rachel, a Quarmont beer with the glass at the bottom. There's a little cyclist going up a hill, up the Quarmont, of course, and the bottom of the glass are lots of little cobblestones.
The sun is radiating through that liquid. It looks just like majestic and golden and delicious.
I want to taste it.
Have a taste. Taste test live on the podcast.
Oh, that's fabulous. I feel like those people on MasterChef who taste food and they're like, oh, exquisite, and they haven't even downed it yet. But this
sometimes all you need is a little sip just to know how good something is.
Good. And what I like, it says it's 6.6% alcohol level, like the 6.6% average gradient of the Quarmont. You can also hear in the background, by the way. Lots of bells, lots of people clapping, and they're clapping, Rachel. Why are they clapping?
They're clapping because the women are about to start in Oudenaarde, which is very exciting. They're lining up now. They must have... Oh, how many minutes was that? How's your Flemish, Chris?
It's pretty damn... Dankjewel.
Ah, ik ben Rachel.
Ik ben Chris Marshall-Bell.
There we go. That's all we need, isn't it?
So just before the women set off, which they'll be coming past us in about 1 minute, we're going to order frites and mayo because, Rachel, you lived in Belgium for 3 years?
I did indeed.
And I believe it's that's all you eat, right?
Yeah, when I was training as an athlete, all I ate was frites and mayo, and that's why I'm doing this podcast rather than being a professional cyclist, I think. Yummy!
Just ordered our fruits and mayo just as the women's race is about to come right past us with Elisa Longoborghini at the front. She's already winning!
She's defending champ! So while at the start, I also caught up with some other hardcore fans. They weren't quite as hardcore as making marzipan figures of their favourite cyclists, but they were dedicated. They had personalised T-shirts and a lot of enthusiasm. You're part of the official Cecily Ludwig fan club in Belgium. How long have you been doing this for?
I think 7 or 8 years. And we know her from she is junior, first junior, and
Why is she your favourite rider? Why do you support her?
She is friendly. She is good rider. Is very good.
How many of her races do you go to?
Many races we can.
And do you like her interviews? Do you think they're funny at the finish?
She's very crazy. It's very
Alive.
Always happy.
What will you be doing today?
to Hollestraat and to Maria Borstraat, and then we go back to the finish.
And when she comes past, you be going crazy, cheering?
Yes, of course.
Have you made a sign?
Yes.
Exciting. A lot of beers or not too many?
No.
Not many.
After the race, then
We
beers.
going to drink.
And how happy will you be if she wins today?
Oh, very happy. I'm lucky guy. She's wins.
Who's your favourite rider?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Now, once we chatted with some of the thousands of fans and filled a little hole with the frites and mayo and croissants, there was only one more thing for us to do. Go head on to our next segment and Rouleur at the Classics. Rachel, who is going to win the women's race?
Do you know what? I'm going to go left field. I'm going to say Lorena Wiebes. I'm going to say she's going to get over the climbs. They're not going to drop her. And she's going to win the sprint.
Left field, a woman who's won 100 bike races.
Yeah, but she's a sprinter, Chris, and this is not what you would call a sprinter's race. But she's climbing very well. What about you? What is your prediction?
I cannot see past the queen of the classics. She's going to win her first race of the season. Lotte Kopecky is going to be the first woman to win 3 Ronde van Vlaanderens.
And we could both be very wrong if Elisa Longo-Borghini wins, which is also quite likely.
A good race.
Oh, it's no fun if you're right, is it?
Should we go and order our frites and mayo?
We should indeed.
And would you like a drink of croissant?
I'll have a sip of that, thank you.
Perfect. Well, actually, Rachel, it's really fun if you're right. I did indeed guess the result. Lotte Kopecky did indeed regain her title as the Queen of Flanders and the Queen of the Classics, which, to be honest, was no surprise given how the race was run. I mean, you were at the finish. I was waiting at the team buses. While you were there, you managed to catch up with plenty of the top 10 and riders in the top 20 as well. What was the general feeling among them about how the women's race was raced?
While I was at the finish, I spoke to quite a few riders who were all talking about how Elisa Longo-Borghini not being in the race made a difference to there not being quite as many attacks, because we can always expect her to be trying to make the race really hard. There were particular teams, though, who were trying to make a difference. I would say Little Trek was one of them, but also Movistar's Liana Lippert was one of the most aggressive riders in the race, really trying to kind of snap the elastic on those climbs, which she almost managed to do, but not quite. But the Spanish team in general were determined to be the peloton's entertainers and make the race exciting.
I think especially with the combination of Marlene and me, like we have to do this. And that's our card or our benefit, I would say, with me on the punchy climbs, and she can go over and attack like we did also in Tour Flanders. And yeah, in the end, I think it's really good that we try and that we also kind of broke the race in some parts. And yeah, I think it's good to be aggressive.
I also asked Loretta Hansen of Little Trek about the absence of FDJ Suez's Demi Vollering in the race, because she chose not to start due to having targets in the Ardennes in a couple of weeks' time. But I think her not being there meant it was one less favourite and one less challenger for Kopecky.
I think that actually really affected the race dynamics. But anyway, let's hear what Hansen said.
Does it make a difference when Demi Vollering isn't starting, do you think? Does it make a difference to the dynamic?
No, I don't know. Like they're across the board now. There's really like quite some strong teams with really strong leaders, and obviously Demi is an incredible athlete and really a dominant rider. But you've got riders here like Kopecky and Lorena, and then Marlon Reusser, like Ellen Van Dijk. We've got some strong riders in other teams as well. So yeah, I mean it's certainly one less rider to watch, but yeah, I still think it's quite a dynamic race even if she was here.
And an hour before all of that, the other reigning world champion was also trying to win the Tour of Flanders one more time. Chris, you watched the closing stages of the men's race in a fan park while I was shivering with cold in quite a depressing mixed zone gazebo situation. So I think you you got the better hand there.
I did, and I did also send you a photo of me drinking a beer watching the race. So
as I worked hard and made sure the content was being collected.
This was the content that I got from the fan pack.
Okay, the leading 5:10 onto the Uruguay, the final climb of this year's Ronde van Vlaanderen. Will this be where the winner comes from, or is it going to be a sprint finish in Oudenaarde? We're in the fan park here. Wout van Aert has attacked on the Uruguay to the delight of the fans in this fan park in Oudenaarde. Okay, Van Aert is just being brought back now by Pogačar and Van der Poel, and Pedersen and Stuyven are hanging on as well. The 4 are back with Van Aert. It's 5 again, and Pogačar is about to counter-attack. Pogačar is counter-attacking, and Van der Poel has gone with him. Tadej Pogačar is building a lead against Mathieu Van der Poel. 5 metres, 6 metres, 7 metres. The Uruguay is making the difference. Tadej Pogačar is going solo.
And that, as we know, was that. Tadej Pogačar won his second Tour of Flanders in 3 years.
And I think, in all honesty, the Belgian fans in the fan park were a little bit too drunk to even care that Wout van Aert wasn't going to win. Although I think we must add that actually Wout van Aert, after his humiliation earlier in the week, he's looking strong. And I mean, we'll talk about Roubaix later in the week, but
I think we have to give him some respect for coming back from that quite simply awful defeat on Wednesday. We're he faced so much criticism from that.
Which I think was understandable and fair.
Understandable, but also surely very damaging to your pride, ego and confidence. So fair play to him for getting back to the front of the race.
Absolutely. So Visma played the numbers game in the men's race, and then another team playing the numbers game was Little Trek. Now, obviously, we've mentioned Jasper Stuyven. Mads Pedersen finished second. His wait for an elusive monument goes on. Another rider up there for Little Trek was Dan Huel. And Rachel, following the race, you caught up with the Dutchman who was used as a satellite rider. Let's hear what he said.
No, I think we did almost perfect race. Actually, I was planning, or I had to do the position before the Moor, and I made a small mistake and we were not in the best position. And then when the groups went attacking, I tried to go as fast as possible to the front to help and jump across. And then I think Mats and Jasper just followed when they had to follow, and in the end only one guy was stronger, so chapeau to him.
Do you think having Tadej Pogačar in these races is changing the dynamic a bit, as in it's being opened up so much earlier, teams like you are having to start attacking so much more early? Is that changing because he's here?
I mean, I think it's quite crazy if you see in the end the group I was in was perfect for all those guys, and we had quite a big gap. No one of UAE, and I think they had trouble closing it. But if you see how easy Pogačar comes across, then that's quite impressive. And then I think you cannot do more than we did. And in the end, he's just so much better that it's hard to beat him.
Is it hard to stay motivated when you see performances like this?
No, definitely not. Especially not for me, because I didn't do the final, but maybe for the other guys, it's quite scary to see how much better he is, and also with the headwind in the end, to stay in front of five top class riders who work together and try to close it. It's quite crazy.
And also after the race, running around the team buses, I caught up with 2 riders at the opposite end of the spectrum, sharing a memorable day. First up was Decathlon's Australian rider Oscar Chamberlain, who aged 20 and 81 days, was the youngest debutant in the race.
You were the youngest debutant today.
Yeah.
How did it go for you?
Yeah, it was my longest race, my longest ride even. To finish it off is super cool. Obviously, it was a big day, and I had a good time. I had a role in the team, which I tried to do the best I could. But it's a completely different racing to what I was doing before, and it was a super fun day. Yeah.
What was surprising? I don't know. Was there anything about the day which kind of stands out?
It's just super long. It's a completely different experience to the shorter races. So, I'm just happy to be finished.
and final one. Just on those climbs, kind of, was it jacked up, or were you?
Yeah, I mean, there was some. The positioning into the climbs are crucial, so yeah, I was really just trying to nail that, and then basically bite the stem until I got to the top.
And just 3 months shy of his 30th birthday and making his first appearance in the Ronde as the oldest debutant was Rory Townsend of Q365, and he was in the break for 175 kilometres. I caught up with him next to a very loud generator, which thankfully got less noisy, but apologies all the same for the hum, but that's just bike racing.
You were the oldest debutant in the race, 29. And how did it go?
It's probably maybe the hardest day I've ever had on a bike. I don't think that's to do with my age. I think it's just to do with the setup of the race. But I certainly feel a lot older now.
Why was it so hard? What was it in particular? I mean, obviously I know you were in that break, but...
Yeah, I mean, being up the road for whatever it was, 200k, that'll kind of do it. And then, I suppose just the this style of race as well, it's pretty unforgiving. I rode Roubaix last year, and obviously that's a different kind of tough, but I think this, with the climbs and everything thrown in, is just it's pretty brutal. So
it's more brutal than Roubaix just because it's more on offer. Is that right?
Yeah, I think for me anyway, at least in my kind of profile, I found this more challenging, I guess.
I was curious how expectations were in the breakaway. Did they think they would last, or did they think they would get within 20k of the finishing line or not?
I mean, we were less bothered about the gap, more bothered about when they decided to bring it back. Our aim was just to try and make it over Eichenberg. That's what we discussed in the group. Try and make it there. We knew we'd be ahead of the selection, and then from that point on, it's about holding on for as long as you can. I think I held on until Claremont the second time, and then I got caught by Tadej's group on Paterberg. So,
and what was it like when they came past you? Were they?
It's like two different races, Yeah, I mean, not much else to say. So.
Final question then: how long are you going to sleep tonight?
How long? I've taken enough caffeine to keep me up for about a week, so we'll see.
And after a long day waiting to speak to riders and often being told that we couldn't, we also needed some caffeine last night too. But really, it was 2 good races. Maybe a bit anticlimactic compared to what we expected. I don't know if that was just the fact that I was cold that made me feel like that. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think the men's race, it was great that Tadej Pogačar didn't go solo at 60k, which we know he can do. He really had to fight for that. Okay, it was, in some ways the result was inevitable and what we all expected, but he had to fight for it, and it was entertaining, and teams played the numbers games, and it was good racing. I think it sets it up quite nicely for next week's Roubaix. The women's race, and in all honesty, I didn't think it was a great race. I thought SD Works played quite defensively, but they can do that. They've got the riders to be able to do that. Elisa Longa Borghini crashing out really affected the race. Not having Demi in the race, ditto. And it feels to me like at the moment you've only really got Movistar willing to throw everything on the line and try something, which is great for Movistar. But we really need some other teams risking something. I mean, Canyon tried, Cassia Niewiadoma did quite a strange sprint, but at least she was in the mix, and she seems to be coming into form after an injury hit start to the season. But I would like to think next week's women's Roubaix is going to be more exciting, in all honesty.
I think it's quite interesting how different it is for the men's and the women's race, because while in the men's race we're looking at Roubaix as less tricky, which means hopefully it should be harder for Pogačar to win. In the women's race, Kopecky is actually even more suited to the flat, kind of really hard cobbles. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it's going to be even harder for them to drop her in Roubaix, whereas in the men's race, I think that's when Pogačar is hopefully on the back foot compared to the likes of Pedersen and Van der Poel. So it's going to be interesting in both races to see what happens, really.
Well, we will be back later in the week for a fan's guide to Paris-Roubaix. And then after Roubaix, we will also be back telling you stories from inside the velodrome and speaking with the warriors and the riders who've got far too much mud and chalk and whatever else on their face. And it actually also looks like it might be a little bit of rain in the men's race, which could spice things up. I think that definitely means we'll be talking to Lewis Askey, because Lewis Askey always looks dead with a face.
Lewis Askey always has a story after Paris-Roubaix, regardless.
Always. Well, yeah, that's what are we going to do now, Rachel, as we wrap up this first edition of Rouleur at the Classics?
Well, we're going to go and ride our bikes, Chris, because look at how sunny it is out that window.
Again.
We can't not. So we're going to go and pick up some lovely hire bikes thanks to the Centrum Ronde van Vlaanderen, which is the perfect base for discovering the Flemish Ardennes. Very excited to get out there in the sunshine.
Well, let's see if we can ride up the Paterberg and the Kwarmonds faster than Tadej Pogačar.
I think we've got a few KOMs coming our way, no doubt.
I'm looking forward to the email in Tadej Pogačar's inbox. You've lost your Kwarmond KOM to Rachel Jary.
Me too.
See you later in the week. Bye.
Bye.